So, my stepfather and mother want me to cut all contacts with my stepsister, who I just met. This story gets insane. Let me tell you exactly how this all happened. In May this year, my mother caught the thing that shall not be named. No symptoms, she was fine. And my stepfather was presenting a few symptoms, but neither she or him were bad enough to be admitted at the hospital. So doctors recommended staying at home and all that. Because I, 15 female, have a weak immune system. Both of them called some of our relatives who lived close by to see who could keep me for a few weeks. But majority of them could not. And the only one who could was making me share a room with 3 of my male cousins. So we all refused. With no options, my stepfather called his daughter to ask this favor, and she accepted. Before I even packed my things, my mother pleaded me to stay the max of my time there in the guest bedroom, trying my best to not get involved with her stepdaughter. I'm going to call her Asa. To be honest, until that point, I barely knew her. I never imagined her being 20-something years old. The only thing I knew was that she lived relatively close to us. I was getting ready to pass the most uncomfortable weeks of my life. I was damn wrong. Asa is only 3 years older than me, and she's one of the funniest, charitable, and kindest people I ever met. The whole first week, Asa put the extra mile to get to know me, and things comfortable for me. One example is, she shares the house with 2 college students that she rents seats in on more private part of the house. But she asked them to keep most of their time on their part of the house while I was getting used to the new living situation. And the house she lives like this perfect little paradise. Asa lives on a big house that has a greenhouse and a garden where she plants vegetables, fruits, and flowers. She inherited from her aunt who raised her and taught Asa everything about it. There's also so many puppies and kittens and little birds. She takes care of them while they're finding a place to live. I was in awe the whole time there. She taught me how to cook a few foreign dishes, how to take proper care of plants, and she introduced me to Lonely Island, because I'm a new Andy Samberg fan, and she helped me with homework. I had such a wonderful time. After my stay ended, we decided to keep in touch. We basically talk every damn day. Today we were on Discord, being loud, laughing and having fun as we've been having since May. Then my stepfather knocked on the door and asked me to go help Mom with lunch. My stepfather asked who I was talking to because he did not recognize the voice. My mother chimed in and said she heard us talking another day and asked if I wanted to invite my, quote, new friend to dinner. I decided to stop omitting things and told them it was Asa, that we've been getting along pretty well. My stepfather made an annoyed face, and my mom acted like I punched her right in the gut. They started telling me that Asa was a terrible person, that she's always been since she was a child. That talking to Asa now that is not needed anymore was an act of betrayal. Asa was manipulative, a liar, they warned me. They warned not to get involved when I went there, and they only sent me there because they did not have a choice. When I tried to defend Asa and ask the whole story, my mother started crying. Like, really crying. My stepfather said that I don't have any idea the amount of pain Asa put them through. I tried to ask again the whole story, and said I wasn't going to stop talking to Asa until they tell me. So they told me to go to my room. I was calling Asa to ask the whole story, but my stepfather came in, took my phone, and canceled the call before she could answer. He yelled at me, called me insensitive, and left. I cried a bit in my room before lunch. After a silent and awkward lunch, my mother gave me back my phone and warned me not to contact Asa. She told me that they were going to tell me everything at night after work. What should I do? Should I try to call Asa again? She sent me a text asking, everything okay? Right after my stepfather took my phone. She's so kind. So I have no idea what she could have done. maybe she is manipulative, is using me to get revenge, and I should listen to my parents. Maybe I ignored or am unaware of all the red flags she's been showing. All this is making my anxiety flare up. I don't know what to do and can't wait until tonight. Can someone help me with what I should do? Hey guys, Mr. Reddito here. So this story has a lot of mystery behind it. But don't worry, I actually found the absolute complete update, and we're gonna find out what's the mystery behind this Asa. So subscribe to the channel if you're new here, show some support, press the like button. Here's the update. So, a lot has happened this weekend, like a lot. Asa is aware of this post and gave me full permission to post it. I got all information that I wanted, and in the end, I really regret learning it. To be honest, I can't look at my mom and stepfather in the face anymore. Before I start, I want to make two things very clear. First, I would not do this update if it weren't for people genuinely concerned about Asa. And second, because I know a lot of you were thinking this happened because it's something real, and happens with a lot of people from all genders. Asa was not sexually abused. None of the sides of the story contradict each other, so I'll tell everything by the order of what happened. I will be calling Asa's deceased aunt Lily. So, basically, stepfather never got along with his sister. They hated each other because my stepfather is ableist, and Lily has Down syndrome. His father also hated his own daughter enough that he did not want to live in the same house as a R-word. So, my stepfather's mom bought another house on the other side of the city, and lived going to one side to another. When his father died, his mother sold the house and asked him to live with them on Lily's house, because he said the same thing as his father: she will cut him out until Asa was born. Asa was born from a shotgun wedding. Her grandmother would take care of her together with Lily almost every day. When Asa was 6, her parents had a divorce, because none of them, quote, connected with her. They did not want to raise her. Where I live, the child custody battle only starts if the parents really or want/need to, as the child support would be like $100. Asa's mother just wasn't interested. They would put her to the adoption system when Lily decided to adopt her. Unfortunately, when Asa was 11, her grandmother died. Lily became depressed and barely left the bed, eated nothing. It got worse when my stepfather wanted to take the house and the inheritance from her and sell it. He planned on using the money to open a diner. My mother always hated to work, so she wanted the money to be able to be a housewife. And they wanted to put me in a private school, and in the future a private college. They tried to lawyer up, but the prices were insane, and they even lost way too much with only consultations. The last advice they heard was to wait for Lily to die. Yes, a lawyer actually said that, and they thought, quote, "Yeah, that's solid advice. Thanks, man." 2 years later, when Lily passed away, Asa and Lily's ex-caregiver told them that the house was never in Lily's name. It was always in the caregiver's name, as no one thought Lily was capable of managing the money. Few weeks later, Asa gave them a paper in order to be emancipated and asked them to sign, as in my country, you become emancipated the moment you file the papers, especially if you have both parents' signature, and it's irreversible. They both signed without even thinking, and Asa said the CPS, I don't know the right word to use here, so I'm going to use that one, was going to send her to live with one of them, and she wanted to keep living with the caregiver, without having to pass a few months on their houses. So, turns out Asa did lie and manipulate, but for survival. Everything was in Lily's name, and when she died, it all went to Asa. The ex-caregiver gave the idea before this. My mother and stepfather were indifferent towards Asa. They hated Lily. Growing up, I always thought my family members who I lost contact with stopped communicating with us because they lived in another country, or it was just normal. Some people in the original post pointed out that my mother and stepfather tried, quote, everyone before Asa. The everyone was like 5 relatives. According to my grandma, I have more than 30 relatives. I don't have any contact enough to know the exact amount. Some of them cut my grandma off for still sending us money. She sends me an allowance. But we are Latinos. We have a huge family. Some live in the same damn city. The difference between my life and Asa was shocking to me. I learned my parents' side the next day I posted here, and I passed the whole day really mad, locked in my room, and in the middle of the night, I did something I was yelled at by my grandma and Asa. I just grabbed my bike and went to Asa's house, and I only learned about all the Lily part after talking with Asa at that night. After that, I could not stop hugging her and crying. Basically, I just stopped crying today. I'm still at Asa's house, and I get sick every time I think about my mother and stepfather. I want to live with my dad, but I can't because he lives in another state. I don't want to stop seeing my friends and Asa. My grandmother said she can come back to my country, but I don't want to make her drop everything just for me. And no, living with Asa is not an option. Now thinking about getting a job so I can move out the moment I turn 18. My mom can't stop texting me. She knows where I'm at, and she said I can stay the week but to come back. The last advice I ask is, how can I start having contact with the relatives that cut my mother? How do I show or tell them that I'm not like her? This was a heartbreaking story. I really want to read this comment, so let's read it. I imagine that Asa will tell them, your relatives, how you reacted to finding out what a shitty thing your parents did. So, OP, stay a good person and bide your time. I strongly feel that the next few years will be difficult. But if you stay true to yourself, you'll be worth it. If you can start focusing on your future by studying hard and playing a bit of a long game, hopefully things will turn okay. You have met a relative that you did not know before and enjoyed your time with them. Your parents did some crappy stuff, but they're not you. Adulthood is close, but not too close. This is tough. Take care, enjoy getting to know your stepsister. Maybe Asa can help you work out what kind of career you can aim for. That suits your interest and works for your study schedule. I'm not saying to use her, but she's obviously had to take care of herself when she was so young. So Asa knows some of the challenges that moving into independence early would bring. If you have to move or live with your dad, you can make new friends. You can also keep in contact with your current friends online. Don't completely rule this out. If things get really difficult, it's where you live. So guys, that was a little bit of good information for OP. If you guys have some stuff you need to tell OP, drop it in the comment section because I would love to see how you would handle this situation. That story was an intense one, guys, but we have one final story, and this one comes complete with an update. Am I the a-hole for imposing my culture, so to say, even though I thought I was just being nice? Subscribe to the channel if you want to support it. Here we go. Even though I'm 23, female, am American, my parents are immigrants, and therefore I have a different cultural upbringing than most. One thing that was hammered into my head from a young age was to always bring a small gift when visiting anyone's house. It doesn't matter if it's family or friends or that one person you kind of know but don't really like, bringing something is a must. My boyfriend, 28 male, and I have been dating for about 4 years now. And since we both work from home, he suggested we make dinner with his parents a weekly thing, since we haven't been able to see each other much for obvious reasons. I love his parents, so obviously I agreed. Every week I made sure to bring something small to show my appreciation for them cooking for us, always using my own money. A small bottle of wine, their favorite dessert, some flowers, etc. And they always thank me for it. This has been going on for a few months and absolutely did not notice anything out of ordinary. Until yesterday, when my boyfriend and I were preparing to head over, I'd gotten a cute vase of daffodils since luckily I'd found some in bloom, and my boyfriend's mom really loves them. But my boyfriend suddenly got really mad and asked why I kept bringing stuff over every week like his parents were, quote, a charity case. Honestly, I got super confused and asked him what the problem was, and that I've always done this with everyone, including his friends since we met. That it was just a cultural thing, but then he got even madder and told me to stop imposing my culture on everyone. It's weird since I'm white. At that point, I did not feel like going anywhere with him and just gave him the dang flowers and went for a walk while he drove over to dinner by himself. After he came home, he still had the flowers, which he gave to me, and told me he was sorry, but his parents really were super annoyed with me constantly bringing stuff over, like they can't take care of themselves or something. And later on, I got a text from his dad, asking me not to come over for dinner anymore. Now, my boyfriend's giving me the cold shoulder unless I give his parents a huge apology. But I really truly don't think that I'm wrong for trying to be nice to them. Am I the a-hole for this? Drop your comments down below. What's up, guys? Mr. Reddito here. I have a complete update for this story, and let me tell ya, this gets crazy. Were any of you guys listening getting any red flags from OP's boyfriend? Drop your thoughts down below, and if you're new here, consider subscribing, and let's get right into this update. After my last update, I told my boyfriend I was sick and tired of him dancing around the issue with his parents, and I was going to go over to their house whether he liked it or not. At this point, I think he realized that whatever he was doing had backfired, so he sat down all angry and told me he'd explain. I sat and he told me that he's done some very spur-of-the-moment stuff, and that he texted me from his dad's phone, then blocked the number but begged me to listen. Then he just needed to get his parents off me for a while and not to leave. Apparently, his parents have started hinting at him about marriage since my boyfriend and I talked a lot about it. I fully expected to marry him, as I said in another comment, and was honestly expecting a proposal in late spring, since that's when we met. 4 years dating did not bother me, but I was getting excited to settle down. However, my boyfriend apparently realized that he absolutely did not want to commit to anything, and wanted to experiment and have fun since, quote, I wasn't being fun anymore. Honestly, that just made me cry, since we were each other's first for everything, and usually very good at communicating our needs. His grand plan was to get him mad at me, so I would beg for forgiveness, and then he'd only accept an open relationship as an answer. Absolutely brilliant plan, I know. He'd make up his parents getting mad, but did not expect me to blow off dinner completely, and it's like, quote, hitting a jackpot. His words, not mine. He went over for dinner, hid the flowers, and said we've gotten in a huge fight, but he was going to, quote, fix it. But I needed space. After he confessed all this, he said he was very sorry, but really did not want to miss out on new experiences when he was still young, and what I consider an open relationship, but pretend ours was strained with parents so they wouldn't get suspicious. And drumroll, please. I laughed. I laughed his ass right out the door and told him absolutely not and to leave me alone while I packed because I wanted to have some new experiences too. He never stopped begging me to stay, but I left to sleep at a friend's. After calming down for a few days, I cemented the breakup and finally actually went over to his parents. My ex-boyfriend's dad never even noticed the phone missing, but still apologized, and his mom was a mess. I did and still loved him, and will eat dinner there without him as often as I can. I won't lie, I'm sad about 4 years down the drain. But that's life. And if that's what my ex best possible planned, then I dodged the bullet by a mile. Thank goodness OP decided to know what was right for her in this story, and I'm so glad that it ended how it did. So many red flags that OP was seeing in her boyfriend. Oh my goodness. Let's read a couple comments. I love that you went over there and filled his parents in on the real story. He was so concerned about keeping up appearances for his parents that he straight up waged psychological warfare on you. But now it's all nice and out in the open. Gonna be awkward for him at holidays for a few years. Then, second comment said, I also love that OP now has friends around the world, looking forward to having her over for dinner. This is when OP replies to that comment and says this, hee hee, yeah, there's people from Bangladesh to Greenland having me over. I'm also going to be extremely busy going on dates with all the single sons and daughters whose parents commented on my first post. They're all so lovely. Well, guys, it seems OP's in a great mood, and I'm glad that this worked out for the best. Let me know your thoughts on this story. That's all the content I have for you today. It's cool to be kind and try something new in life today. If you've been scared to try it, just go for it. Have a great day, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.